one of the other headlines that I did want to mention was that there was a report about that Black Cleveland, in the Intercept as well, that Black Cleveland residents tell a tale of two cities in the shadow of the Republican convention. This is essentially commenting on how there was lots of talk about large protests and events proceeding or going around the Republican National Convention, but they spoke with some residents of the city, and what we found out was that getting to a protest was very low on the priority list for the folks in there. And Nis, if you want to comment a minute, I want to pull some of the quotes up from the article because I think they were really powerful. So if you want to comment on some of our previous stories, that would be excellent.
Yeah. On the shooting, I'm getting tired of everything turning into a game of tag. No one takes responsibility for anything anymore. Like, at least offer that person the dignity of an apology instead of saying, I'm sorry I hit you, I meant to hit the mentally handicapped person sitting with a toy truck in his hands. I mean, just apologize, move on. Just take responsibility for what you did and move on, instead of this blue line or the politician line or the Democratic line or the Republican line where everyone bands together. Like, you have had crazies in the Republican Party for so long. It's insanity. And it takes a person like Trump and Cruz to actually have people start disavowing others for saying crazy things. And again, they're not in any way taking any responsibility on themselves for pushing things this far. They're again making the game of tag, where they are simply saying, oh, but it's their fault. It's not my fault. It's Donald Trump's fault. It is the Democrats' fault. It's Obama's fault. It's this leftist swing the country is taking. Like, every study and survey shows that this country is taking a right-wing swing. But let's pretend like it's a left-wing swing and then tag the leftist. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. It doesn't matter if it helps anyone or not. It's just a game of tag, of saying it's their fault. I would love for someone to step up and simply say, that was my fault. I'm so sorry. I will do my utmost never, ever, ever to do that again. And I'm going to do my very best to try and make it good again in any which way possible. But instead, we have a game of tag. It was not my fault. It was the wind shear. It was the light of the day. He had a hoodie. He was black while walking. Yeah, you take it.
Yeah, no, it's been, excuse me. Still got to get that all sorted out. But yeah, no, it's been unfortunate that even in situations like, I mean, there was the shooting in North Carolina where the man was shot in the back as he fled away from the police. And that one seemed to get some general, you know, the police themselves and the man in question obviously didn't take culpability, but, or at least the man in question. I can't remember exactly what the police have said about it. But this situation, it seems as though it's pretty clear what's transpired there, and that the mistake was made, and the very first thing that should happen before any sort of an excuse comes out is just a pure apology. Just that I made a mistake. We're going to see like how we can resolve this, but I'm sorry. Like that, like I don't know. I'm sorry. if that would have been the officer's response, that would have been at least a step in the right direction. Just leaving it, I don't know, then handcuffs the man and leaves him bleeding for 20 minutes, that leaves me to believe that the reason that he was shot, I'm skeptical of whatever reason is going to be provided from the police. I'll say it, leave it at that. But touching back a bit onto the Cleveland residents, some of the quotes that were in there that really stuck out to me, the piece by Alice Speary on The Intercept, is it was about the students who branded themselves on social media hashtag Cleveland over RNC, and they had gathered in a park, and some of the quotes I wanted to pull from here from somebody cited as Ragland was I was pissed off when I first found out about the convention and it was going to happen here, because the reason why Cleveland is in such condition is because of the conservative politics that they are going to be talking about here. Another person said, in a city where we have a huge problem with police violence, racial discrimination, economic oppression, where a 12-year-old was killed for having a fake gun, knowing they're going to be in the same city talking about all those racist policies, devaluing black lives, for me, it's a kind of slap in the face and it's insulting. And I thought one person particularly encapsulated it well when they said that they took issue with the $50 million in federal funding that the city had gotten to secure the convention, much of which spent on riot gear and other resources along those lines as far as maintaining huge crowds. But once the convention's gone, they're going to be left. The police are going to be left with all of that riot gear, all of those weapons, all that surplus stuff, and they're just going to be itching to use it, and that's got Cleveland residents very nervous. And so I think the piece does a good job of encapsulating what's going on in Cleveland is so disconnected from the people in Cleveland. The protesters or potential protesters and the people that gathered in this park gathering essentially mentioned that the convention destroyed public transit into the city, so lots of low-wage workers are basically out of work because they can't get to and from their jobs. A lot of people that would have wanted to protest couldn't get down into the city and out or get transport through the city in a timely fashion. And so it's not just that the police are getting armed and that the convention is just passing through and all that money, none of that money seems to be trickling down to the citizens of the city that need it the most. Oh, it looks like we had a comment. I just want to make sure I pull it up. The fact that these cops never try to save their victims' lives after they shoot them is so disturbing. They should be required to provide assistance to any shooting victim, especially their own. That is something that you can find at Campaign Zero, and it's been pushed by several people, and it's something that we've noticed lots of people have picked up on a variety of these videos, that the police, like, the reasoning behind handcuffing the suspect is that they don't know if they're still a threat. Given that the reasoning for the police shooting this man was that they were actually aiming at the other man, it doesn't really make much sense to put the person that you thought you were protecting in handcuffs. So that reasoning definitely breaks down here. And as far as providing medical attention, that just, as far as I know, and Nis can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but that's pretty popular in most other countries, that if you injure a suspect, that you're required to provide at least whatever basic medical care you can until trained medical EMTs arrive, if not the police force also being trained as EMTs like firefighters are. I think that, I don't know if you had a comment on that, Nis.
So yeah, we've been having a good conversation in the chat between Terry J, Karen, and our Revolution TV and Eric Miller about exactly the comment that you put out about trying to save the people that they shoot. That they should be required to give them assistance. I'm actually unaware of any laws or regulations concerning this, but Terry J also had a comment on this on your report on the Cleveland situation, where he says that the companies that made all the riot gear makes lots of dollars, and these companies in many cases are also campaign contributors. So it's this unending circle, and most mayors are dependent on getting elected as mayor by getting a large percentage of the cop vote. And so they can't piss off the police unions, they can't do too many things, or at least they feel like they can't, because then they won't have an army of boys in blue to volunteer for them in the run-up to their elections to do phone banking and stuff like that. So there's so much in this system that is favors and the lay of the land, power brokers, and just the politics of the day that prevents any real and meaningful reform. And then you can start arguing, well, okay, so where should the reform begin? Now, some people would say the reform should begin with electing Bernie Sanders or some other progressive, or at least just bare-boned sane person to the White House, and have that person enforce change from the top on down. Other people would say no, we have to have the change from the bottom on up, because then the top doesn't have any choice but to correct themselves into the new. But personally, I think you need to lobby the top while you work the bottom. So you need to make the change actually happen and show them that it actually is happening, while you at the same time are lobbying people at the top, saying the change is already happening. You can either be on the page of change and be on the right side of history, or you can try and be a wall and get run over. Like, I think that is my personal opinion. I think that is the way to go.